In this video, I'm talking to Chris Rawlings from Sophie Society, and I'm asking him some of the most important questions and frequently asked questions about A+ content. Chris will share his thoughts about some of the most fundamental questions, such as what happens to product page ranking when switching from description to A+ content, and he will also share what are the best practices for image keyword selection, which modules to use, and what content to upload. To learn more about Sophie Society and their services, you can click on the links in the description. Enjoy our conversation, and if you like this video, give it a like and also subscribe to Orange Click YouTube channel. Hi Chris, I'm really happy to have you here joining me to talk about A+ content, about which we have done a couple of videos earlier as well, and which are very popular among our viewers. And today we will have a little Q&A session about A+ content to go over some of the details which are important for sellers to know. But before that, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and also introduce Sophie Society?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm stoked to be back. It's been too long since I've been on the channel. Yeah, and it's good to see you, Lisette, as well. You seem to be doing great. My name's Chris Rawlings. I am the founder of Sophie Society. I'm a seven-figure seller on Amazon. I've owned or been partnered in, or been consultant to many hundreds of brands since I started in 2015 with my first seven-figure brand in the spinal health niche. I spent a long time digital nomading around the world, like living that digital nomad life that everyone thinks about when they think about running a remote e-commerce startup, and then ended up settling down to go big. So now I run Sophie Society, which partners with brands and serves brands to help them increase their conversions on Amazon and manage all of their Amazon traffic through active PPC management. And then we also, take stake in brands that we think are interesting and deserve to have capital to grow as well. So yeah, it's a great space to be in. And today I think we're going to be walking through some ninja tactics for Amazon A+ content, which we do a lot of.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we have gathered some questions sellers might have, and I know a lot of sellers watching us might already use A+ content. They more or less know what it is, but just to go over some of the fundamentals before we go into the details, could you just shortly explain what's like the main goal of having the A+ content on product detail pages on Amazon? And is it possible even to be successful today on Amazon without having that feature on the product page?
Yeah, it's basically a big infographic that shows up in the center of the product listing. Between the top where you have the images and the bottom where you have the reviews is the A+ content. And they give you a number of options of different modules to use to design your own visual plus text combined content. And it's only available to brands that are brand registered. It is an extremely powerful way to communicate quality, to communicate brand character, brand story, and to add more information that you can't show in just the images or just the text. And to answer your question, I would say it's at the very least, it's very difficult to see success on Amazon with the conversions. Getting high conversions is, if not the primary, one of the most primary aspects of sticking a quality ranking, which is what you need to get consistent sales and traffic on Amazon. You can't do it if you can't communicate the brand super effectively and very visually, because Amazon is a super visual platform now. People are so used to Instagram and Pinterest and Tumblr and Facebook and Snapchat and whatever else. Text is not the way to communicate online in general anymore. And video and images really are it. So A+ content gives you a way to do that with light text and heavy on the imagery. So it's absolutely critical to succeeding on Amazon these days.
Okay, and A+ content, enhanced brand content, has been around for a while now, but actually recently I have talked with some of the sellers who are brand registered, doing well in their category, but they are hesitant to switch from description to A+ because they are kind of afraid to lose their current rankings, and they have the keywords in the description. What would you say to those sellers? Like, does it really affect the organic ranking of the products, or the fact that the description fields will stay in the back end of the listing? So what will change in the listing when they do the switch?
Yeah, that's a very common fear. So first of all, before even addressing the question itself, to address the mindset, all of the most successful sellers that I know and am involved with are not afraid to touch their listings. Once you become afraid to touch your listings, you've just basically set yourself on a path to a slow decline. You should be updating your listings. Sometimes you're going to update the listing and you'll have like this freak, drop or disappearing in the rankings, and then it'll come back and, or the rankings, the algorithm will readjust on where you're at, and it can be scary. But it's very critical to continuously update your product listings. I mean, I know a lot of 8-figure sellers, 10-figure sellers are not very common. 8-figure sellers that they will update all of their listings quarterly. That doesn't mean updating every single image, but update their listings at least one way or another. So, with that said, you could guess my answer to this question, which is no, they should not be afraid to replace their product description with EBC with the fear that it would change their indexing or their ranking. The product description is the weakest indexed part of the listing to begin with. So it doesn't have very strong indexing power. In order of operations, the title has the strongest indexing power. The bullets and back-end search terms have the next strongest. And then after that is anything in the EBC or description. And, depending on who you ask and the most recent test, we see it actually sometimes on some sellers it has zero impact on indexing. So it's either zero or quite small. So it's not something to really be afraid of. And plus, like you alluded to when you articulated the question, the product listing, the product description actually still exists. It's just not visible on the front of the listing. You can still upload it. So, that hypothetical indexing power that you would get is still there. You're just not seeing it on the front end of the listing. So you definitely want to invest in EBC. And, we've done a couple videos on this, so you can click over to watch those to go deep into it. But in summary, it's not as scary as you think. There's actually a formula that you can apply, very straightforward. You don't have to use all the modules given to you. Only a select few of them are actually super valuable anyway. And if you follow the straightforward formula for doing it, you should be able to execute it even yourself if you're on a shoestring budget pretty easily.
Okay, very good. And I know what a lot of sellers do when they do have A+ content and they do have the description field in the back end. They will replace the regular description and actually stuff the field with keywords. So it's like just a bunch of keywords added there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, it's pretty weak indexing power, so I wouldn't expect any crazy magic to come of it. But it's not going to be seen on the front end of the listing, and you're not going to get, slapped by Amazon for it or anything like that. No one ever notices because it's in the background anyway. So we don't typically do that, but it's not going to hurt you.
Okay, very good. So let's now move on to actually putting the A+ together, because it kind of consists of different modules you can use, different blocks. You mentioned you have a couple of favorite ones, I guess, that you like to use the most, or you seem are most effective for sellers. So can you give us a short overview what options there are and what you would recommend to use?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so the total amount of options, I think it's 9 or 10, maybe 11 different types of modules that you can choose. We only use a handful of them. The ones that we use that we find are most effective, and especially, this is very critical, most effective on mobile and desktop, because most people are designing to desktop and then checking it on mobile afterwards to make sure it's good. You should be doing the exact opposite of that. Designing for mobile and then checking on desktop to see if it's still good on desktop, because 3/4 of the traffic to your listing is coming from your mobile phone. Is coming from mobile phones. So the mobile is by far the most important. So with that said, the modules that you want to stick to are the hero image plus overlay, text overlay, which you really don't need to use the text overlay. Really just uploading an image. That image will take up nearly the whole screen on a laptop, a standard laptop. Not quite, but almost. And it'll take up about 30 to 40% of the screen when vertically held on mobile. And we usually use that for at least 3 of the modules, of the 7 modules available to you. The next one is the 4-panel image plus text. It's one module, but you get 4 images. Each one has text associated with it. So it's a really good way to fuse one simple idea, communicate one simple idea visually and textually. So you're communicating through multiple different modes, which allows the communication to get into the shopper faster, so you can communicate more information faster. That's the whole game of the Amazon listing, is we only have a certain amount of attention. What are we going to do with it? And if use the most effective, this is a great way to do that, the 4-panel image plus text. The good thing about this module is that it reorients on mobile. So it's horizontal. There's image, text, image, text, image, text, image, text on desktop. But then on mobile, it reorients. So it's image, text, image, text, image, text. So unlike a banner graphic, which shrinks because it's portrait instead of landscape, this module doesn't shrink at all. It just reorients to be portrait instead of landscape. Very powerful for that reason. And then we'll always put in a product carousel. The product carousel module is a module where you can select other products that are in your line or also from your brand. And they're actually miniature listings. So as a comparison table, as the primary image of each listing, as the title of each listing, which is in the form of a blue clickable link. That's very clear that it's clickable or tappable, the link. On mobile, it shows up as a side scroller. So they can scroll through the products by like scrolling to the side, which is a very familiar gesture, for mobile users. And yeah, those are basically it. Those are all the modules we use. You really don't have to use the other modules. Most of them are not going to be mobile optimized. That's the biggest issue with a lot of these other modules that they have available.
Okay, very good. And I think we haven't had any updates regarding to the modules, right? If I'm thinking correctly, we haven't had any new modules from Amazon, right?
No, there are other modules that are available to Amazon Launchpad sellers. Amazon Launchpad is a program that allows like new innovations and new inventions to be given a special place on Amazon. That's basically their answer to Kickstarter in a way. It's supposed to be new, innovative stuff. And if you get into that program, they actually give you some special modules that are similar to the modules available to you when building a storefront, where there's like clickable lifestyle imagery. There's like dots on the image that you can hover over that just open up a little description when you hover over them. Those are not available to normal sellers, but they have been made available to Launchpad sellers. The one change that did happen is Amazon suddenly shortened the number of modules you're allowed to put in A+ content from 7 to 5. And then, even though they shortened it, you were still able to upload 7, even though it said you could only upload 5. And then they backpedaled on it, and now it's 7 again. So I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, so it's still the same.
Yeah, actually, I have noticed the same thing, because when you once start to grade A+ content, it says like, I think it still says for some accounts you can add 5, but then when you actually start adding them, it's still 7. So yeah, it's a little bit confusing. But yeah, I think it's also 7 for now. So yeah, that's good. We can have more room to play with. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So now when sellers are kind of uploading the images, for example, or the content to the modules, they will face image keyword fields for each block they are using. So what kind of keywords sellers should add there, or based on what criteria they should make the decision what to include?
Yeah, you can put keywords there that didn't fit in the search term fields for the backend search terms for the listing, or in the bullets or title. If they're, I wouldn't reserve it for primary keywords. Those keywords should all be either in the bullets, the backend, or the title. This would be ones that were too far down the list for you to fit anywhere else, because again, this doesn't have super strong indexing power as of yet. What we think is going to happen is that as Amazon continues to be more and more of a rich content platform, that it's going to start showing pieces of listings in different parts of the platform, like it has started to kind of do with posts, where like you can make Amazon posts and they show up on other listings and your own listings and in a special part of the app and on your storefront. Product videos can show up in different listings. Amazon Live videos can show up because they can have different products in them. So Amazon's kind of like blurring the line between what's your product and what's not, what's your listing and what's not. So this will probably come into play further down the line in 2023, 2024.
Okay, very good. Yeah, thanks for that information as well. So another thing I think which is often overlooked by Amazon sellers is that there is actually an option to upload A+ content in different languages. So for example, for US Marketplace, you can do English version and you can do Spanish version. And I think I last checked for German Marketplace, there is even like 5 different language options. So I think you will agree that for US market, probably it's worth to do the Spanish version as well. But can you explain a little bit in depth why it's important and why Amazon sellers should do it?
Yeah, Amazon's just on this crusade, to make their platform available to more and more demographics of people. So it's definitely worth it to use the multi-language feature. I think this is definitely a subject that Yana would be, our mutual friend Yana would be amazing at. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it, especially because Amazon tends to beta test things like this that are going to be like rolled out on every single market early, and the folks that adopt it soonest end up getting the most benefit out of it. And if you're not doing it can't hurt you, even if you're not doing it with absolute excellence, because you can't afford all of these different languages. So it's definitely just start with one.
So yeah, it seems like A+ content is a lot of like fun and creating this new content that people also like that are shopping. But I know that sometimes A+ content can, make sellers' head ache as well. So I know one of the main issues sellers often have with their A+ content is that once they want to add the A+ content, Amazon gives them like an error message that they can't really upload the content because the product is not part of the brand, but actually indeed it is part of the brand. So I don't know if you personally have dealt with such issues, or do you have any tips like how to overcome such issue?
Yeah, there's a lot of uploading issues actually with A+ content. One of the main issues is you'll upload it and it'll be under review for like 7 or 10 days. And, sometimes it gets approved immediately. Sometimes it's under review for, like I said, a week or more. It's crazy. Another issue that also happens is you'll upload it, but the images are not showing at full resolution. Even though you uploaded images that are at full super high resolution, they're not showing on the listing. And
that was actually that would be my next question actually, because I know this issue as well. Yeah. So I wanted to ask about that as well, but yeah.
Nice. Well, we'll combine them into one then. Yeah. So for whatever reason, Amazon A+ content is like notorious for having upload issues. To speak to the issue that you mentioned first, which is the issue of the product not being recognized as part of the brand, that can actually cause all kinds of issues. Like when that happens with Amazon, they'll stop you from even uploading new images or new bullets or new copy to the listing as well. And that can be a long process. The only way to deal with this is to deal with the brand registry team and Amazon seller support team to get them to put the product under the brand again. This will happen frequently with companies that didn't start with the same brand they're now running in the account. Like a lot of times there will be a company that buys an account and then registers, new products into the account because it's a clean account and it has lots of reviews or whatever, and registers it with the brand and everything, but still it has that old history. And, something back in Amazon's database is just stopping everything. And it can be a nightmare. It can be a nightmare for brands, but you'll eventually get there. The strategy is tenacity. You just have to keep at it with Amazon's brand registry team, brand management team, and Amazon just seller support, and continue to get after them about putting the product under the brand. And they'll ask for proof that the product is actually part of the brand and that you are indeed the brand owner and all that stuff, and documentation. And you just have to provide that in the protocol, the format that they ask it for it in. So yeah, you'll get over that. And the other issues of the images not showing up in high resolution, or it taking a long time for Amazon to approve the A+ content, those can be solved by just patience. It's not that you uploaded the wrong resolution of the image. It's not that it was the wrong format of the image. It usually resolves itself within a couple of days. Sellers freak out about this, and we get messages like this all the time. And the answer is always that it's gonna resolve itself. So there have been a couple times where it seemed to freeze, like Amazon was it was under review for the longest time, and we just had to try again. But just tenacity and patience will definitely get you there. There's been no A+ content that issue that we haven't been able to get over.
Okay, very good. So I have one general question about the content, because we briefly talked about the modules and a little bit what kind of information sellers can add there. But generally speaking, should A+ content feature information that sellers have already communicated through product images and bullet points, or should it somehow include new information, new angles, give more, for example, educational information, or raise awareness of the product or something like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. The answer is for sure both. You should be reiterating points that are the most important communication points for the product. You should be communicating the same things that you are communicating in your images. The primary benefits, the primary use case scenarios, the primary target demographic, those things should be repeated in visual ways inside the A+ content. But it's also a space for you to go deeper on things that you didn't communicate elsewhere. We call this flourish or X factor shots, where it's showing either a more extreme use case, or it's showing a super zoom close up that communicates quality in a way that your primary images were not able to, or some really unique setting for the product. Or a specially designed image that actually shows it in a very sexy way. Those are great ways to use the A+ content. But you mentioned actually instructionals when you're asking this question, and that is actually a great use of a module in A+ content. Step-by-step instructions, they lead the shopper through the experience of what their first few hours or first few days with the product will be like, which virtually it gets them that much closer mentally to actually buying the product, because in their head, they're already using it in their mind. They want to know what it's like, to go through that process. This is a common tactic in just regular sales, phone sales, where you walk them through what their first few steps will be like. Well, first I'll introduce you to your account manager, then they'll get your account set up. And it makes the prospect already feel like they've, in a sense, already bought. So that's super powerful. Another way that you can go deeper is to do a breakout. This is, again, something that a lot of times you don't have room, or you don't have the ability to communicate this in the primary images because you need bigger space, or you need a mix of text and graphics that you can't get in the primary images. So it's the product, if it has multiple pieces or components, breaking them all out in space. Rendering is a great way to do this. And then labeling each one and showing what each one is for It communicates quality, it communicates sophistication, it communicates like a deep understanding of the industry or space that you're selling in. And it's a great way to use one of the modules. So yeah, close-ups, breakouts, instructional, step-by-steps. These are all excellent ways to utilize the modules.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, thanks again for joining this little Q&A session for today. We do have other videos with you where you actually give like the exact formula how sellers are able to basically go through it step by step and create A+ content for their products as well. But before we go, could you once more explain how Sophie Society can help Amazon sellers with A+, but also with other things you offer?
Yeah, so our whole concept is to just increase the conversion from the traffic that's coming to your listings already and to get you more traffic in general. A+ content creation is one way that we do this. It's one of the most powerful ways we do this. But we also create listing image infographics, do listing image sets. We do Amazon product listing copy. And we do all of this in a very unique way. We experiment in the market constantly, and we've created many thousands of listings. And we see what works, and we create our own formulas based on the truth of the data. And actually, every single listing that we create, whether it's for our own brands or for other brand owners' brands, we track the data before the new content was uploaded, 14 days after, 30 days after, and 90 days after, to see the broad effects of that thesis of that content that went into the conversion job. So we're very data focused and data oriented, and we only do what works. We're not like a creative shop or a content shop, we're a conversion shop. So you can come to us to get your listing created soup to nuts. You could have just the product, we'd create the whole listing for you, or you could just come for a component like EDC or images or something like that as well.
Okay, sounds really good. So thanks again for joining me, and hope to see you soon again.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Lisette. Can't wait till next time.
I hope you enjoyed this video and learned what is the best approach to use and upload A+ content to your Amazon product listings, and also how to overcome some of the upload issues. From the video description, you will find information and contact details of Sophie Society, so you could reach out to them in case you would like to use their services to create an A+ content. And now I would like you to watch another video Augustus from OrangeClick recorded with Chris about how to get peak sales by creating high converting Amazon storefront.